grab your chain instead. You pussy. Are you scratching? This karate shit didn't work. I ki'd him and nothing happened. I got to sit into Manny Pacquiao's camps. You better start taking notes. Start listening in. You're here. You know, so much of coaching is not just like throw your right hand. It's training camp. It's the prep into it. When you're at the top, everyone's calling you. When he suffered his first loss, the calls, and everyone abandoned. Throughout my whole life, I've been pulled in 2 different ways. She showed up and like her teeth weren't in. And I was like, what's going on?
Some Mulan matchmaker
type of thing.
Oh, the teeth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't know how to be more Asian. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
I would never want that woman to do that to my ear.
Like, what does it feel like to have that pressure on? What does it feel like to perform in front of 3,000 people? Like in New York, on Broadway, it's like, oh, there's no way. There's just no way. He walks away and goes, fucking guy.
Oh, baby, let's go. I sound fucking nice right now.
Yeah?
Hell yeah.
Can I get like a little taste of it?
You want some of this?
Yeah, dude. I want to get a little taste, dude. I feel like this is like the legit way to do it.
That shit is fucking.
Oh shit, that is fucking cool.
That's fucking nice, right?
Yeah, dude.
Hell yeah.
I feel like
We can all get headphones if we want to, but I just don't know if we want.
Do you think is he an actor, a boxing trainer, and a boxer?
I don't fucking know. I don't know if he is an actor or was an actor.
He's an actor. Right?
I think we're all actors at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Smize.
Welcome back to episode 4? No.
I think we can actually rock it like that. It's like, hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to Game Plan. This is episode 4 or 5, or I honestly don't know. Whatever fucking gets out.
Welcome back to Game Plan, the podcast. I'm your host, Davis Cole, and joined as always by our producer, Juice.
Yo.
Today, our guest is an actor, boxing trainer, boxer, and me and Juice's personal boxing coach. Please welcome to the show, Jeremy Chu.
Yeah.
A fist is what Rogan says.
Right?
I didn't know that, and my
Yeah.
brother just told me, and he was like, oh, yeah, it's like a fist length. And I was like, thanks, Joe. No.
We're good there? Yeah. Sweet.
Red light is on.
Once we start with the ASMR portion of this
Oh my God. Gee, I just got wet. Yeah.
I mean, what? I've never seen those.
Dude, what is the appeal to ASMR?
I don't know. I think it's just like a little soft, sexy, and it's like
Is it just sexy? Because I also feel like I watch them and it's just like a chick with nails done and just like crinkling up a bag.
There's
Like,
definitely
is that the sexy part to somebody? Because I don't.
It's
it doesn't
gotta
hit.
be. And you're just really skirting the line between that and like just porn. I'm
Yeah.
assuming, you know, and you get something out of it. But
Yeah.
like I imagine the other part. The ones that we see are very attractive females.
of course,
100% of the time.
But
Yeah.
I firmly believe that there are like not to say that they're not legit, right? But there are other ASMR channels and people just like the calming
yeah,
shit. You
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
Do you know what it stands for? Audio.
Auditory.
Yeah, it's
Stimulation.
Sexual.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. No, I have no idea.
It's BDSM, right?
Yeah, I think it's exactly the
That's
same.
right. That's right.
Exactly
Yeah,
the
yeah.
have
same.
to look it up now, dude.
But I've messed around and like I've clicked around on Twitch and I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And they've got like the ear mics. Have you seen those?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like
Where
like
they're just,
stereo, like left
sucking
and
on
right.
the ears and
Yeah.
stuff like that, so you hear it, and it's like that's those audio files or
That's
whatever.
what William did in my ear.
It's
is
an
an ear.
And she just like
Like,
just on the ear, and I'm just like,
I didn't sign
I
up
was like,
for
oh, I
this.
don't like this. This is weird.
I would never want that woman to do that to my ear.
It's like, oops, I subscribed by accident.
Oh,
All right. It is autonomous sensory meridian response. A
Nobody.
tingling, relaxing sensation in response to specific audio or visual stimuli,
Yes.
often triggered by gentle sounds like whispering, tapping, or personal attention.
Sucking.
Yeah, they got like the feather stuff or like
Yeah.
fluffs and stuff. Yeah.
Right, because the things
I've
that
seen
I
some-
like
yeah, go
is
ahead.
like cooking videos.
Yeah.
Shk, shk,
Stuff like
shk.
that. Yeah,
Bro,
yeah.
Sizzle in the pan. So I
love
do
a
think I
cooking
like some
video.
ASMR, but yeah, there's some really bizarre stuff out there.
I love a cooking video, bro.
We should make a
Like,
cooking
you know those
video.
outdoor ones when they're in the woods,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
And it's on
God.
the wooden board. You hear the stream,
Oh, and
Yeah.
and they're just like the big blades, and they're just
yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
It looks
mean?
like a cleaver.
Dude. Yeah, he's
that guy
like,
crushes it.
yeah,
And he's always like throwing stuff up in the air and like catching it on the blade.
Right.
Yeah. I would love to
Always
make that
sick.
kind of content. That would be so
I would
sick.
love to
Bro,
just
let's do
run
it.
into him in the woods filming that content. Because I sometimes think I'm like, it's so good that I'm like, does he have this setup? And he's just like,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
kind of not in the nature anymore.
Where's his China ball?
Exactly. Right. And he's just there for 6 hours plugging away at like 40 videos so you can has content for the month. I don't know. Like
No,
it's just
and-
like a funny
As like a camper, I'm like, oh man, it's so much work to just go to the sites that they're at doing that. And then like you're lugging in your
Yeah,
your camera
bringing in
equipment
gear.
and your cooking equipment. It's a pretty big project.
right. I think he's
But-
gotta cook it.
Yeah. So I think that's my problem with the cooking videos. I'm not a very good cook.
Bro,
So,
shoot me. I'm nice.
all right, I got you.
Done.
I am nice.
We'll do a little switcheroo and
Yeah.
you can get on the shk, shk.
Right,
For
so
sure.
Wrap the fish in leaves, right? Do the whole they smoke it. And
Yeah.
It's just
Bro.
Mikael's nice too. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, you guys have free reign when we go hunting to whip it up in the kitchen.
Hell yeah.
Well, dude, how's
Oh, real quick, let me get some claps one at a time. One. Tight.
How is it that you find yourself here in Austin with us? We met at Archetype.
yes.
Yeah, why are we here? How are we here?
Yeah.
How are we here right now?
And
we here?
I don't even remember the first day we trained together because I think my first day in there was just shooting a vlog for Andrew. And then like I didn't start working out until after that. And then pretty quickly you just like pulled me off after a workout and you're like showing me some boxing drills. So I just know you as like the trainer at Archetype in
Yeah.
Austin.
Well, first off, thanks for having me on. Honor to be. Well,
Yeah.
what episode?
Thanks
is
for
it? What
being
episode?
here,
What
bro.
episode is this?
This is episode
I think
4.
episode 4.
We're in the single digits.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
We're at the
I'm
beginning.
honored. This is gonna we're gonna
Pioneer,
look back and
baby.
be like, what? I was number 4.
Pioneer.
Number 4. Like
I-
like black belts, they put the number on the thing. Just put a number 4 right here. You know what I mean? Or,
We got to give out plaques.
We'll give you
Yeah.
like a token.
cool.
It says number 4.
Ooh, like a coin.
Belt buckle.
Belt buckle.
Big ass.
Yeah.
GP number 4.
Yeah.
Only for the first 10.
So you just started working out there kind of recently?
Yeah, it was just like in April.
Oh, so it was almost around the same time. Just maybe you might have a month on me. Then
I was there
something like
before
that.
you had
I
got
think
there?
so. Yeah.
Where did you come from?
So I had moved just in the beginning of April.
Okay.
Long story short, I born and raised in New York and had a I was a child actor, and kind of that career path took me to Los Angeles. Was there for about 12 years. Post pandemic, had found out I was having a baby with my wife. Awesome. Needed to be closer to family. Went to Ohio and was there for about 2 years. He was getting older, and it just didn't really work out for me. For us, we were close to family, but I didn't find a community, and I think that's just equally as important as far as like the gym and all that stuff, because I kind of grew up in that, you know. So I was actually looking to move back to Los Angeles, and it caught on fire. All of it. And I was like, oh, okay, so we might have to pivot.
Not
I
that.
still try to make it work. I was talking to my wife, talking to like old friends, because I've built so many relationships in those 12 years, and almost everyone's like, I don't think this is a good time, especially you have a 2-year-old. Air quality, yada yada, yada, you know, like prices. It just everything was like it seemed like a force, and I just like I just don't need to do that. So we thought about Hawaii, and I was like, clean slate. Let's pick somewhere cool. So I called a family friend of mine, and she is actually from Austin, or no, she was living in Austin for a long time, and she moved to Maui. So I called her. I was like, "What's it like in Hawaii?" I was like, "I'm trying to see if I want to move and any of that stuff. And she's like, well, broke it down. She was like, well, before you move, this is what you need to think about. All the stuff, blah, blah. It's a pricey, schools, the lifestyle, all that stuff. You better know, you better be here 5 to 10 years before you make that jump. So I was like, oh crap. And I was like, well, is your house? How about Austin? And she kind of joked. She's like, oh yeah, I do have a rental. And then the
Oh,
people are moving out. And I was like, it could be ready in like a month. Do you want to? I was like, huh, maybe. And she's like, I'll give you a sick rate. I don't have to like worry about getting new tenants and stuff
Dang.
like that. And I was like, okay, like this just became real, right? Like I talked to my wife and I was like, we have a place, we have a home. Let's just figure out all this other stuff. So it kind of cast a net of people of like, hey, who do you know in Austin? Because I don't know anybody, right? Except for the family friend, but she's gone. And she has a sister. So there's one little connect, kind of a family friend. Um, so I just kind of reached out, and a former client of mine from LA had moved out, and he was one of the first members at Archetype. Shout out Brock. And he was like, let me connect you with Sean. And then kind of from there found out that we had mutual friends. So I grew up in New York. Around 16, I started boxing, and I was at Trinity Boxing in New York. And in Trinity had a LA portion, and then when I was in LA, I started really kind of coaching. I'm kind of bouncing all over the place, but I started coaching, and two coaches there that I knew had rolled with Sean and knew Tyson from like 16 years ago in Hollywood BJJ. So
Dang.
then there was like another connection there. So I mean, it was as simple as kind of Brock just like, hey, shot me put us in a group text, started talking. I'm like, I think I'm moving there. And he was just like, just give me a shout when you get here. And like, just so lucky, I just got inserted to a great group of guys, great gym, and Sean and Tyson have just sort of opened their arms, like, and it's changed. I've only been here 6 months, but I feel like I'm on this podcast with you guys, met a whole bunch of people. Those 9 a.m. workouts are crazy.
Oh God.
Meeting all those people in there.
yeah.
And then now, I'm coaching at this gym, at Archetype, doing privates and stuff, and just sort of building kind of from the ground up, but I got a huge leg up here. So it's sort of like, wow, this is, if there was ever a sign from the universe saying like you should stay here, like within 6 months of just meeting all the people and just having, meeting great energy, great people, open arms, and just real dudes, that community is exactly what I was looking for. You know what I mean? And even my wife has said like, I see a change.
That's
I
awesome.
see a shift. Like you're just happier.
Yeah.
And I
That
was like,
or
holy crap. Yeah. Okay. Like sometimes you don't know it for yourself, right? Adds a little, there's an X factor in that I have a 2.5-year-old as well. So it's like, I can't just make moves for me. So things are a little different, but like, man, I just see so much potential, and just, it's shown me so many, great potential for just for my family in Austin.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I started working out at Archetype in like the spring, and I had known Tyson a little bit before that.
Oh,
And I've been in Austin area pretty much my whole life.
yeah.
I spent some time in Houston
Cool.
going to school, but even just in the last 6 months for me, that community's been huge. It's
Yeah.
gotten me in way better shape. I've met a bunch of new friends,
Mm-hmm.
and like I can see, it's just like we're creating something really awesome in those group workouts, and I hope we keep that thing going.
Yeah.
They can be brutal.
It could be brutal, but
They're
then you
kind of
just show
tough.
up, and then, everyone's going through it, right? So you're
Yeah.
not the only one that's like struggling, unless like Tim asks you to go in the ring, get some rounds.
Yeah.
Then it's a little bit more brutal than others.
It was fine. I get beat up every day. It's
Yeah. That was tight though. I
just
mean, just
another
yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
awesome
that was
just to
sick.
have that moment. You know
for
what I mean?
sure. I didn't expect to roll at all
Yeah.
that morning, and I surely didn't expect to roll with him
Right.
that morning. So I thought we were just going in there for like a sick EMOM, like we typically do. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that was dope. And that was actually, I think that was the first time we actually trained there at the same time
Yeah. Yeah. It was our first time actually getting to be in that session with
in the
everybody
same
else.
space.
What we're
Yeah.
referring to is Tim Kennedy beat the crap out of Juice last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He held like 3 or 4 rounds on the focus mitts, and then they wrestled for like another 3 or 4 rounds.
Yeah. It was a good time.
But you fought
time.
great. You did a
Yeah, it
good
was
job.
awesome.
I think Tim is used to pulling people into deeper water faster. So
Yeah.
respect. Yeah.
Respect,
Yeah,
for sure.
that's pretty sick.
Yeah. Everyone was turning heads like, okay, there he's in it, redlining.
I
Everyone's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I was in it.
yeah, you're in it.
I was doing nothing but redlining.
Yeah.
So
yeah. You paid your dues that day, that's
yeah.
for sure.
hmm
So you spent like 21 years boxing now.
Yeah, I mean, so 2004, I was 16, and um, one particular like incident in my life kind of pushed me to boxing. Plus another one not so serious. I'll get the non-serious one out of the way. Was Fight Night. Fight Night dropped 2004, and uh, on PlayStation.
Yeah,
And
let's
I was going to one of my
go.
one of my best friends, Matt's house, and we just played that forever. Like created boxers, did the whole storyline and all that other stuff. So
I
to get that
loved
out of the
Fight
way, I
Night
was
so
like, I
much.
love this is dope. Like kind of that was like an intro to the boxing for me in a way. Before that, previously, I just done karate, something like that, like an after school YMCA program. Just one of those you jump in, you start, and we got a little. I don't even remember, was that like a purple or brown belt? I don't even know how the belts go at that time, but my sensei at the time had left, and he was like a big mentor to all the kids, and I just lost the love of it. Someone else came in, and
And it was
it was different, and I was young, you know what I mean? So I was like, so I kind of fell out of that karate stuff, but. The serious incident was I was in New York City on my way to a Sweet 16 with two buddies, and these four guys just tried to jump us and rob us. My boy had like a little like a cross, a little gold chain or something like that, and I just knew like it was a weird scenario. You just have that like spidey sense in New York where it's like, oh, something's about to go down. Like you're not asking me for the time, or like, can I have a piece of gum, or like just you know what I mean? And that's what they did on the. And it was like those above ground train stops, like subway stops that you might have seen in like Spider Man. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like
sure,
one of those
sure.
or whatever. So we got off. I was in Queens. It was like 8 p.m. or something like that. I was on my way to a Sweet 16, like I said. So he was like, "Oh, where's the party?" or something like that. And he's like, "One of you guys have a phone?" So we're like, "No, we don't have a phone." And he goes, "Oh, well, I'll grab your chain instead." So he grabbed my boy's chain. So we turn around, and I'm 15, 16, I'm 16, and we're just, you know what I mean, just going nuts, like just like
Yeah, you
whatever.
play Fight Night.
You just don't
Shit.
exactly right.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like all I know was karate, right? So I threw like some front kicks. I just did. I didn't know. You know what I mean? Like. It's crazy. And then like I felt like a scratch on my face. And I'm like, "Oh, you pussy. Are you scratching? We're scratching?" You know what I mean? Like what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? So like it was just a mess, right?
That's not in Fight Night, you
Yeah,
bitch.
yeah, like I don't know what's going on. And I felt like, typically if I was by myself, here, take all my shit. It's like 1v4. I'm not gonna in my mind I was like whatever. But 4v3, I was like just got to put one out. You know what I mean? And then it's like one of them was like a heavier set guy. So we were like, he was kind of moving kind of slow. It looked like he had like a bum knee. So it was like kind of like we were like, okay, let's go. Like, screw it. So then the whole scuffle, all that stuff. We fly down the stairs. We're trying to flag someone like, hey, call the cops or something like that. Bystanders were calling, or the booth attendant or whatever. And then I look back and my friend is like on his ground holding on to his chain. And I'm like, you idiot, just let it go. He's getting pummeled. So my other friend goes back, and then they scurry off because there's now people around, there's witnesses or whatever. And then my friend comes back, and I'm like, oh shit, you're bleeding. Like you got a cut, you got slashed. And he's like, you got slashed too. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I go and I touch, and I have this like 4-inch slash, and I have this scar right here. And I was like, fuck. And in that instant, to backtrack a little bit, I started acting when I was like 9 years old. Okay. So I was like, my moneymaker, like any like street cred or whatever, or like toughness, or like, I was in my like ghetto phase, you know what I mean? I was like in my rap era type of thing. Like everything went out the window. I was like, I came from a nice family. You know what I mean? Like, I have a nice neighborhood. I do not live this life. You know what I mean? Like, what am I doing? But it's not like I was looking for trouble. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I was out late doing, whatever. But I was like, oh my God, this is like everything just shifted. So long story short, when they scurried, they jumped on the train tracks, which is crazy, and ran to the next station. And by then it had been called in, and thankfully there was an undercover cop who was off duty at the time. Got the call, and he just got there, got him. We had to go ID them. It was a whole mess. Now that the cops are there and they're handcuffed on the wall, I'm trying to we're trying to rush them. We're like, fuck you, dude. Like, no, you know what I mean? And it was like, oh crap. And so in that, that whole ordeal, they had like 12 or 13 cases connected to them. They had a bag of like 10 cell phones, wallets. So they went on a spree. And then we're like, yeah, we stopped these. You know what I mean? Like, we kind of like build that thing where like, yeah. But I was like, holy crap, I don't know what to do about my face. Like, so that was a little bit scary. So I had to go to like a plastic surgeon and see what to do. I didn't need stitches because it was such a clean slice. So when I thought he scratched me, he had a little fixed, I don't know what kind of blade or box cutter and stuff like that. So I was like, holy crap, like what a stupid thing to engage. You just don't know. Like, had I known they had a knife, I probably would have just been like, yo, you know what I mean? Like, for them to come at me to my face, it's like, what if he took my eye out? All these things started going in your head. And all I just remember was looking at my hands, and I was like, I had like teeth marks, and I had like kind of like like just marks. And I remember punching one of them, and it bothered me that it didn't end it. You know what I mean? And sometimes I have this like weird, I have two nightmares that reoccurring nightmares. One of them is I punch someone as hard as I can, and they just like
eat it
and look back at me, and I'm like, no, like what happened? And the other one is getting picked up and slammed because I'm just a smaller guy. So I'm like, that's why I'm like doing wrestling and jiu-jitsu, grappling and stuff. I'm like, no one's gonna fucking pick me up. Like, I'm gonna be the hardest.
Y'all seen a lot of that with me last week.
So I was like, this karate shit didn't work. I was like, I punched him, I ki'd him, and nothing happened. You know what I mean? So I was like, what the fuck? So that plus fight night was like, I'm going to find a gym. I'm like in the mecca of boxing. I'm in New York, right? So I started visiting. I asked my mom, I was 16 still. So I was like, can I, I'm going to start boxing. Can you come with me? Because they have to sign waivers. I was not 18 yet. So we made the rounds. I went to like Gleason's Church Street. I think I went to Mendez. Prominent gyms in the city, and Trinity is kind of where I ended up in, and the owner Martin Snow, him and his brother John, kind of like big. Their names go far because they've been in forever. Everyone kind of knows them, and big burly guy, Brooklyn accent. He's like, "What up, kid? What are you doing here?" They're like, and I'm like the only kid at that time, I think, walking in, and my mom had to sign the waiver, and I was like, this is the place. This is dope. Like, he was very welcoming, and that's kind of how I started. I walked in the gym, and there was like a bunch of pros mixed in with a bunch of Wall Street guys because it was downtown in the financial district, bunch of regulars, and then, it was a great mix. And it was kind of an open gym thing where it's like, someone showed me like 2 rounds on the jump rope, 2 rounds shadow boxing. We're going to show you a quick 1-2 stance, and you just got to show up every day. And I was like, okay, cool. I can get down on that. And I live close, so it was like, there was nothing stopping me. So I was like, great. Started going in, started working pads and stuff like that, just working basics, and you're just on the rounds, and all these pro guys are just walking around and they're helping people. Like, this is when they're not fighting or in camp or something like that, or even if they are, they're training people. And that's how they made their living on the side as well. So I was lucky enough at that time. It's, it's slightly different now. But at that time there was like young careers being built, champions and stuff like that. So one of them being, he goes by Peter Kid Chocolate Quillin. Another one was Saku Powell. He goes by Iron Horse. And the other one is Hollywood Hino. And then a couple other guys, but those 3 guys, I think, really kind of took me under for the years that I was there. And during all that time, I'm still acting. And I had this like weird dual thing where it's like, wow, I finally get to do something kind of athletic and getting that energy out. Cause I've always, the sports in New York is slightly different. You got to play ball. Like that's you're just playing basketball. There's no football fields,
Let's go.
baseball. You know what I mean? It was just basketball. And I'm 5'5". You know what I mean? Not like, like it's like all right, like I did the Knicks camp, I did all that stuff, and then when I started acting and doing all that stuff, I was dancing a lot, and dancing helped me a ton with boxing. And I didn't know until later on of like how it kind of so I got fairly good quickly, especially under the sort of mentorship of these guys. And I was always the sort of the kid there. So I was gonna do the Golden Gloves. I think I started boxing, started sparring and stuff like that after like 2, 3 years or so. And I was training for the Golden Gloves, and I booked this movie. So it's like this weird thing throughout my whole life, and that I've been pulled in two different ways as far as like this combat fighting, getting that out, and acting, which is like almost until a couple years ago, really kind of made a definitive choice of where I want to really lean into. Um, so I booked this movie, and I was like, Mom, I kind of want to do Golden Gloves, and she's like, No, you're gonna do this movie. You're gonna stop. You're gonna do all this stuff. You're not gonna turn pro. I was like, Mom, what do you mean I'm not gonna turn pro? You know? And I ended up doing the movie. It's not like it was a crazy decision. It was probably the biggest project I had ever done as far as film wise, acting wise. It was a Wes Craven film. Um, and it was one of his last ones, which I'm super lucky to be a part of. It's called My Soul to Take. I think I sent you the trailer. I don't know if you peeped the trailer and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. And
I did, and I don't like horror movies. And I was like, "Ooh, I'm not gonna sleep well tonight."
yeah.
After a 2 minute
Yeah,
trailer.
yeah. And that was dope, and that was a great experience. And then that kind of shifted to moving to LA. I was like ready to be out of my parents' house. And I was like, okay, so I kind of just I put the boxing kind of on hold and started leaning into the entertainment, the acting and stuff like that. Still training here and there, but really try to focus on that and kind of further my career um, in acting and stuff like that. So the cool part is that during all that shift, when I moved to LA, 3 months, 3, 4 months after that, um, one of my boxing mentors, big bro, Peter Quillin, Kid Chocolate, who I went to his first pro fight, is now in that contender. He's ranked high. He's like next up and coming, big prospect. He decides to move camps, and he's gonna go to train with Freddie Roach and Eric Brown in Wildcard. And he's like, I think I'm moving to LA. And I was like, well, let me help you. I've been here like 4 or 5 months. I have tons of friends that already had moved in acting and stuff like that. Looked at an apartment for him, did all that stuff, and basically helped him move. And then kind of in that relationship outside of the gym became closer. And he was like, why don't you just jump in and kind of help me with camp and stuff? So I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm like, when you get a first, a front row seat to someone, a pro guy that's about to have his career just take off. So there I was then going into wild card, and he's in camp. He's doing that stuff first week. He's like breaking jaws and stuff. Like he's known for his power. Half Cuban. And so he's, you know, making his name in boxing, and fights Winky Wright, which is one of his biggest fights, retires Winky Wright, wins Winky Wright, wins that fight, and then gets a title shot afterwards. And I was just along the ride. So when he's in there, and during that time, I think this is before Wildcard had that they bought out the bottom and they turned it into some more of the pro. They have a ring there now and stuff like that. Before all that, I got to sit into Manny Pacquiao's camps. So now I'm like 4 feet away from Freddie Roach, Eric Brown. And the best piece of advice that Pete would give me was like, you better start taking notes, start listening in. You're here. Like, not a lot of people get to do that. So I was like, okay. So like started listening to what he would say in the corner and how he would interact and doing all those things. And then from there, I'm like, man, like this coaching thing sounds awesome. Like I'd love to kind of get good at that. You know what I mean? And try to shift. So much of coaching is not just like you need to do this or like you need to, have that technical, you know, throw your right hand and blah blah blah. So much of it is not even in the fight. It's training camp. It's the prep into it. Like there's so many nuances. Everyone's different. Every boxer is different. Everyone needs a little something different. So it was really interesting to see sort of this wide scope of different fighters, um, and how you would interact. So that all happened, and then I was like, man, I'm full circle. Started coaching at Trinity, LA, and that's how I kind of really started. So I was like, I don't know, 2017 or something like that, because I was still in camp with Pete. So he won the title after the Winky right fight. I think his fight against Hassan and Dom, he won the WBO middleweight champion. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. I like have just fast tracked from like not having any amateur experience straight to pro and like what a pro camp is, how to like the mindset of a fighter, how crazy and chaotic it is. When you're at the top, everyone's calling you. He used to give me his second phone, bat phone, and it would just ring nonstop and texts of like, I need this, tickets, da da da. And like, aside from like the training stuff, I was like helping him navigate hundreds of people in this text. And I'm like, and it's just like, shut it off. If it's really, really important, they have the important phone number, but like still answer some stuff, you know what I mean? Or whatever. So it was just like, man, just cutting out the noise. It was nuts. And then when he suffered his first loss, like the calls and everyone abandons. It's crazy. It's like you
Yeah.
do this, and it's like few people get to see that, And I was at his last fight, which was controversial. Fought a sort of a journeyman, Alfredo Angulo, champion, good fighter, but past. Both were probably sort of past, and lost like I think a split decision. It was like kind of controversial. I thought, obviously I'm biased, whatever. Like I really did think he won, um, but just being in the hotel room afterwards, right, and you know him finding God, being having a closer relationship like that, um, and just saying a prayer, and you just like because I've known him for so long, it's like, man, you hurt as not as much, obviously, right? Like if there's a physical thing, but it's like you want it just as bad as they want it. You want it for them, right? Like I know his wife, his kids, and all that other stuff, and he's just putting his when they put your body on the line and all that stuff, and then him just shifting it, and he was like, "Yeah, I think it's done. I think I'm done." You know what I mean? And just being happy for him in that making if you can be at peace with that decision, then I'm at peace with it, and I just want the best for you. You know what I mean? It's like, and just the level of care and just having, that kind of relationship has made an impact on me as far as, working with future fighters and just even clients. It's like my biggest pet peeve is this old school thing of like, here, let's, like you've done boxing for X amount of months or even a year. Let's just spar. Let's go light. And it's like for some people, it's like that it's just processing too quickly. You're just getting hit. You're not even learning at that point. You're just trying to survive, which is cool. You can prove toughness. Great. Do that once. Prove to yourself that you're tough. And then it's like, let's come at this a little bit more technically. And I've just learned to care a little bit more. Whereas sometimes I think the old school way isn't the best, where it's like, here, you need to get your ass beat for however long. And if you're still around, then you start to, you know what I mean? And so that was sort of a tangent, but yeah, after that, he, has now started a music career, and he's, philanthropic. He's, working, I think he's in the Bronx. I forgot what that organization was. He's working with kids and stuff. And it's just a dope story, and just to be a little part of that story. And just going from his first pro fight to his last pro fight, but winning the title, making his millions, doing all that stuff, getting in that, he was in that time where it's like floating around of like fighting Triple G and like different things. And he was repped by different, organizations and stuff like that. And it's just a cool, and to say the least, a cool, but just a impactful experience for me. And that's sort of where I kind of cut my teeth with boxing, where I'm like, man, I learned so much. He had a stint with Virgil Hunter as well. So I visited him in NorCal. So, like I think Andre Ward was still there. Tons of guys there, Darrell. So it was like I got these little pieces of like these Hall of Fame coaches, and I was fortunate enough not to steal, but just to kind of take notes, and they opened up their gym.
Absorb.
It was so sick, you know what I mean? Um, so yeah, now I feel like I've been equipped with something so lucky, and I get to now pass it on to even just people that just want to just starting for the first time, you know.
No, that all makes so much sense.
Long
Like
story. Oh my god.
after,
Sorry guys.
No,
No,
dude, that's
no.
great. That was
That's
amazing.
awesome. But I resonate with so many things there. Like I started training boxing specifically when I was 15.
Yeah.
And for me, the video game and movie was like Never Back Down.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
like Def
Never
Jam,
back down.
Never back down was
Def
yeah.
Jam Fight for New York. I don't know if you guys ever
Def
played
Jam
that.
Yeah.
Fight. Okay. Yeah.
It was like the coolest
Yeah,
fighting
yeah.
video game. You had Henry Rollins as like the trainer.
Oh my god. Yeah.
And so you could go pick like different
Okay.
disciplines. So it was like a legit MMA game. And all the fights are like in crowds and like a bar scene kind of thing.
Mm.
And then all the fighters are rappers. So it was like old
kinda
Def Jam.
remember this. Yeah,
like
yeah.
the ultimate boss at the very end is Snoop Dogg.
Okay.
And he's like long and lanky and super quick. And there's like Bubba Sparks
Okay.
and like Method Man and or Redman. And so many different rappers. So it's like fun. You go through the storyline, you kind of like fight your way through the different
Okay.
rappers. But having Henry Rollins on there, like it had legit martial arts in it. So that
Yeah.
was like the video game. What was the one that you said?
Fight night.
Fight Night. So that was like my fight night. And then similar timeline of like I got to start boxing with my uncle in Atlanta.
Okay.
And he previously had trained Evander Holyfield for at least one of his camps.
Wow.
So he had boxed way back in like the 60s, 70s, I want to say.
Yeah.
And then got into training over
Mhm.
time. And so my first experience was going to Atlanta to stay with him during a summer. And I was 15. I was living here in Austin as a troubled teenage kid.
Sure.
Needed direction.
Yeah.
So this is my mom's uncle. Sent me out there to him,
Wow.
straighten me out. First off, coolest gym ever. He had a motorcycle shop.
Okay.
So it's like motorcycles and leather jackets. And then just a weight room in the back.
In the gym?
No walls. Right?
Wow.
So there's just like the weight room. So you just like, you have all the showroom and then the weights in the back. And then you go further past that and it's like a whole boxing gym.
What? What's
So-
it called? Is this still around?
No.
Okay.
He's much older now and retired. But first time being exposed to fighting.
Yeah.
And it was fight week.
Uh-huh.
And we were in Atlanta. Fight week was down in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, which is like a small casino town on the Gulf Coast. It's
Yeah.
not a beautiful town, but we drove from Atlanta down there and he had 2 fighters on the card. And I got to watch, I was 15.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to be in the casino. I wasn't supposed to be
Right,
in the
right.
warm-up area,
So cool.
but I got to see the hand wrapping and hitting mitts before the walkout. And I got to
Mhm.
kind of be a part of the walkout for my first time ever. And it was pro boxing. So it was really cool seeing all that.
Yeah.
And
That's crazy.
the connecting to something else, there's like a much darker side with combat sports because this was my first live event. And that night, like one of the fighters passed away from injuries during his match.
Whoa. So you got
And
like
I witnessed all of that too.
a whole roller
That's your
coaster.
first one.
Yeah.
That's
So it was like
crazy.
I got to see the road trip with the team. And at the time, my uncle was like, he had to have been 60.
Yeah.
And he had 2 other trainers and they were also like 60.
Okay.
So it's like these 3 old men and then the fight team, which is just a bunch of young guys,
Mhm.
and then me.
Yeah.
So it was like a really interesting group of people. But I got to see the whole thing through and through and how you do professional training.
Yeah.
I got to watch the guys that week before we head out, like rub on the Albaline
Yep.
and put on the sauna suits and struggle through the weight cut. And then I got to take like kind of the main event fighter to breakfast after weigh-in,
Mhm.
which was really cool because that was my first time seeing like a post weigh-in. And
Yeah,
we went
yeah,
to
yeah.
a Waffle House and got
Right.
everything.
And just
and it was like $12, you know.
All-star
But it was
breakfast, baby.
really cool. thing to experience with like my first time in on
Mhm.
a shorter timeline, but kind of the same thing to see it done right from the
Yeah.
beginning. But I do the same thing in grappling as you do in boxing, and I've done the same thing in Muay Thai, MMA, just being part of people's camp and
Mhm.
kind of being there for them. And it can be an extremely tough place to be as like the psychological and emotional support for these people because, like you said, sometimes the phone's ringing off the hook, and
Yeah.
everybody wants to be their friend when they're the champion.
Yep.
But when you're a part of an actual combat sports team, you have to be there, like you said, for the wins and the losses.
Yep.
And sometimes that also includes injury. And I'm
Mhm.
sure you've seen your fair share of that as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah.
So for me, having that first experience, seeing how the worst case scenario could happen, I don't think about it all the time, but it definitely is something I go back to because people put a lot of pressure on fighters
Mhm.
and they get hyped up. Oh man, you're going to knock this guy out. You're going to go win this match. And I've done that same thing to fighters being in camp with them. Oh, you got this. You're going to crush this guy, whatever.
Right.
Then someone goes out and breaks their leg.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then it's like, how do you be the same supportive person when it goes poorly as you are when everything goes perfectly,
Mhm. Mhm.
So I I feel like I was in like a very similar timeline, just a little bit behind on choosing to get into the martial arts as like a teenager
Yeah.
and then just like immediately becoming obsessed.
Right.
I mean, as soon as I did all of that,
Yeah, yeah.
I came back from that trip to Atlanta and I was like, this is what I got to do.
Yeah.
And I already had like enough other like little martial arts influences that I was kind of like scratching the surface. But as soon as I came back from that trip, it was straight into jujitsu and Muay
Strange
Thai and
jiu-jitsu.
nonstop pretty much ever since then.
How'd you find your way to Fight Factory?
The Tackets.
The Tackets.
So
How'd you find your way to the Tackets?
when I started jujitsu,
Okay.
so 2009 out here in Pflugerville, we called it the Old Red Barn.
Okay.
And I was driving with a buddy as a 15-year-old, and we had to go meet another friend in the neighborhood and drove by a big red barn that said Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I didn't know what either of them were. I
Yeah.
had just come back from boxing in Atlanta, and you talk about being like a teenager who thinks you're tough.
Right, right,
I
right.
learned
Yeah.
like how to throw a cross on a heavy bag, and I was
Sure.
like, dude, I'm the best fighter ever.
Yeah. My
You know?
Kia is
Yeah.
top notch.
He
Till
said,
this day.
I keyed him.
I'm like the arrogant 15-year-old that goes into a Muay Thai and Jiu Jitsu gym, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of already know how to fight.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So it was just like a gym that had just started, and
So the Tackets were in this red
they
barn?
were at the old Red Barn, and so that would have been 2009. I was 15, Andrew was 6, William was like 8,
Crazy.
and then fast forward 3 years, I had become like the assistant coach in the kids program, and then I became like the head coach of that program.
Okay.
They were kids in the kids class at that time. We spent another 3 years, so we spent about 6 years together on that team, and then first half I was just like a white belt learning stuff too, but I would always roll with them because they were the best kids in the kids class, and I was the youngest, smallest kid in the adult class, so we'd kind of
Yeah.
do some training together. And then 2015, I went to Houston to go to the University of Houston. So I moved from Austin. Still checked up on them. Still would go to like some of their matches,
Yeah.
and they would have like super fights and
And they're
stuff.
still at the barn.
Yeah.
Is that still up? By the way?
No, so it moved to another red barn.
Okay.
They
That's
upgraded.
dope. I'm picturing like a really cool
It's
scene here.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not as old school as you might imagine, but at the time it was also in like Pflugerville kind of Hutto area, and there wasn't a lot out there. So
Right.
it definitely was like kind of a lone red building,
Yeah, yeah.
kind of in the middle of nowhere. So 2020, I had graduated the University of Houston in 2019, and the pandemic hit, and I was just like, man, I'm watching everybody stay at home. There started to become like these new YouTube videos, I felt like, of people being like, oh, we're all stuck at home. I'm going to do what makes me happy. And just seeing a lot of people making these lifestyle choices to do what brought them fulfillment because it looked like the world was kind of shutting down.
Yeah, sure.
And so I had to ask myself, like, man, what do I want to do? I want to go back to teaching jujitsu. So I had a former student that was in the same program as Andrew and William. He had opened up a gym, and it was brand new. So I hit him up and I was like, hey, can I come work with you at this gym? We'll kind of try to get this gym up and running. And then that was a Fight Factory affiliate at the time.
I see.
So hadn't even met Rodrigo yet, but started working at that gym. Finally met Rodrigo. And then eventually that gym closed down. And so that was when I was able to like join Fight Factory as an employee. But the whole reason I went back to that other gym with my previous student was because he was part of Fight Factory. The Tackets in that time I was in college had transitioned to Fight Factory. So I'm a person that I've said this forever. I think like it's way more fun to train with people you like
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
Oh God, I can't imagine training
yeah,
with people I
right.
don't like.
like when I was in
I just
Houston, I
wouldn't
would
do it.
drive like an hour and a half twice a week to go train at a specific gym because I liked the people that were there.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. So coming back to teaching jiu-jitsu, it wasn't like, oh, I just want to teach anywhere. It's like, oh no, I want to go get back with the Tackett brothers because we had a really cool thing going on in the past. And like, let's see if we can kind of pick up where we left off.
So how old are they at this time?
When I came back,
Yeah.
all right, like 16 and
Oh, so
18
they're
or
already like,
something like that.
yeah, yeah, they're
Yeah.
already,
Yeah. So they were, it was cool missing like them being like younger teenagers
and
because
then
I
all
knew
of a
them as like
sudden,
little
boom, grown
kids.
man status at
Yeah. And
16,
then
probably.
by
Yeah,
the
yeah,
time I came back, they're both taking on like high level professional matches.
yeah, yeah.
So it took me a couple years to kind of get my footing back underneath me as a coach.
Uh huh.
So now I feel like really good. And basically the same way you just described getting in like those important rooms where you're learning from the best to
Yeah.
do the thing over the last couple of years, I got to do that with the Tackets through all their camps. They've
Right.
had a couple major successes over the
Mm-hmm.
past few years,
Mm-hmm.
and just being with them through, like you said, it's not just the competition day; it's every kind of waking moment throughout camp and
Right.
after camp. Sometimes figuring out how can you start the next camp the day after you fight.
Right.
Right? Maybe it means doing nothing right now,
Yeah.
but having that kind of plan, and then just being able to pick up from these guys that are some of the best in the world to do it. And
Right.
then that same statement you just made about like it gave me the tools that I needed to be able to be an effective coach,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So
It's like when to push and pull, when to like lean into something. It's like these little nuanced relationship things, social cues that people don't really think about. Where it's not just like the X's and O's of it. It's like how do you really help someone if they're if they don't, they're stuck in this, and this is a very specific kind of case, but like if they're, you hear overtraining a lot, but like if you're headache, if you got headaches, right, from sparring, and it's like I got sparring in another in tomorrow or something like that, or the next day or 2 days from now. I'm like, do I tell him? Am I like, hey, maybe you shouldn't take sparring off? Because you're thinking like, oh, in the long run, but you might need sparring. And it's like I to this day, in that way, sometimes I don't know what the right answer is. You know what I mean? And I would just like in that time I was also young, and it's like maybe just to sit back and not say anything and just go off of what he feels, But at the same time, if they're in their own way, or and but that's the sacrifice at the same time. So who am I to tell you what you should sacrifice or not, especially in the game that we're in, right? So it's like, there's sometimes like, I got a little bit of a headache, and he's like, I'm just gonna go lay down, and I'm like, shit. Well, he's got fucking spar. It's Wednesday. He's gonna spar on Friday, and then I'm like, maybe he'll wake up Thursday and he'll be fine. But I'm like, dude, I still remember you, like, kind of like you're just like,
That's where you talk about like it's like what kind of headache?
right.
How's it really feel? You know?
How's it really feel? Or like, do I even ask that? Do I want to have that kind of weird weakness, doubt in your mind? Do I even ask like, hey, maybe you should, do I even say something like that? It's something in fighting, even jujitsu or something like that. Like maybe now more than ever because of all the sort of the studies and the health and like more, you have more access to information of maybe what might be best, as far as long run stuff. But it's like you only have an X amount of time in this game. Do you just go for it? Or do you risk casting that little doubt or missing a day of sparring just for that or whatever? You know what I mean? And ultimately, their decision, right? But not that he would have like listened to my advice at that time. I was still learning, but sometimes I think about that where it's like, man, if I'm caught in that situation again, and maybe I am training a fighter or doing something like that, you think about that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Or you just have that open communication. Then it's like, listen, there's two timelines. There's like your life after, and then your life right now in it. And it's like me as a coach, where do I float? How do I cross over that line? Where do I figure it out? You know what I mean? Do I give you that extra day? Do you recover so that you can't, maybe you spar Saturday or or something like that, but then you already paid these three sparring partners to come on Friday, and then you need like a camp manager to then, you know what I mean, or whatever, and I was handling all that stuff. Or it's like, do I even say anything? Because then it's like, shut the fuck up, dude. You know what I mean? Like, so those things sometimes I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know. It's like a weird sort of
yeah.
thing.
I think of like two main categories for just like talking about like fighter psychology and their needs is like are you the guy that I have to get in your face and slap you in the face and
Mhm.
scream at you? Because
Right.
that's a type of person.
Sure.
There's an athlete that is like, yeah,
Right.
that's what that works for me.
Mhm.
Or you're the person that needs positive encouragement
Right.
and a little bit of a pat on the back.
Uh-huh.
And everyone is completely different
Yep.
and unique to that.
Mhm.
And then kind of within that, it's like, yeah, how much do I call the shot for you? And how much of me calling the shot for you is like too much,
Mhm.
right? And you have a little bit of pushback from people that are like,
Mhm.
no, let me make my own choices.
Right.
And honestly, I've actually taken a lot of peace of mind, and a lot of what you're talking about was particularly like CTE and brain damage and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm a jujitsu coach now, so concussions are pretty rare. I mean, they happen.
Yeah.
We have accidents and stuff. People hit their heads, but compared to Muay Thai, MMA, and boxing, which are kind of the other combat sports I've been in, it feels good to not have to worry about the head trauma thing.
Yeah, man.
Because my position on like anybody doing the contact is like, if you want to do this for your career, you know that you have a short timeline ahead of you on this,
Mhm.
and you know that by choosing this career, whatever that long-term health is or lifespan or retirement plans, it's going to be affected by making these choices now.
Yeah.
Now, and if you're on board with it, then let's send it and maybe not do anything reckless, but like
Right.
you're going to keep sparring
Yep.
and you're going to keep getting hit in the head.
Yeah.
But my position on that is now like, dude, if you're getting paid, why in the world would you
Why?
do that to yourself?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, because I'm sure for you, with 21 years of boxing experience, you've probably been concussed. You've probably taken a fair amount of damage to the head. I've received more than I think I should have in a
Yeah.
lifetime,
Uh-huh.
and I'm at a point where it doesn't feel the same as it used to. And I
Right.
can tell that like I always think of it as like a pitch counter,
Yeah.
but counting down.
Right.
And
Right.
when you get to 0, like you just can't get hit in the head anymore.
Uh-huh.
It's just gonna really mess you up.
And more times than not, I'm going with someone bigger than me. Just I'm like, this
Yeah.
sucks. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, but speaking of, did you see that video of that guy trying to? It was a judo, but he kept his head
Yes.
up and he
Yes.
smacked his head into the mat, knocked himself out.
Yeah.
Did
yeah,
you see
yeah,
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like
Rough.
the cue on that
It was
one
at like a
it's like,
naga or something.
yeah, it
like
was
that.
something like a naga
Yeah.
for sure. And the way he positioned his chin, I don't know
The
if you
throw
saw it.
was pretty though.
It was a great throw.
It was a beautiful throw,
It's
but
just
just
the
somehow,
follow through.
yeah.
He stuck his chin up and his head was going
And
forward.
he just went.
So he like jawed himself, right? He hit his chin on the ground.
Ugh.
And going back to when I met my uncle, that was exactly how he taught me how to knock someone out.
Yeah.
He's like, you got to hit him in the chin,
Right.
specifically as
Yeah,
your
yeah,
target for
yeah.
a knockout. And that
Uh-huh.
dude hit his own chin. So
Right.
yeah, that
Or aim for the neck.
whenever I see things like that, I'm like, yeah, that was all the encouragement I needed to not do high amplitude takedown. You know what I mean? It's like, cool, you landed your throw. He probably right before he got KO'd was like,
Oh shit.
yes.
Oh fuck. Yeah.
I got this
Oh
guy.
yeah.
You
It
can
went
feel
from
that.
nice to oh fuck. Like.
And
I-
think of the second hand embarrassment too.
Oh, and it's on video for forever.
Yeah, and we're talking about it.
Talking about it.
Poor
And we're not
guy.
the only one. I mean, I think that page. I love J Flow.
Yeah, he
judo
did.
guy.
Oh,
yeah,
He did a
great
like a here's
breakdown.
how to do it without knocking yourself, and he
Yeah.
did it. I saw a follow up to that. But yeah, I was just
Yeah.
made me think of like
J Flow is
not a ton of concussions you see, but like I just thought of that
Yeah,
concussion
yeah,
right there. And I was
yeah.
like, dude,
No,
Yeah.
and like it's hard to say which one's better. I don't really believe in headgear too much. I think it
Mhm.
protects your face, and
Mhm.
if you have stuff with your face, then that can be
yeah.
good. But
I mean,
don't think
protecting
it does
cuts.
much.
I mean, I think that's
Yeah.
mainly. There's no. I don't think there's any science behind that, like softening the impact. Of it. It's more for you don't want to get cut before your fight. You know, just like your mouthpiece. I learned this not too long ago of like it's not really to protect your teeth. It's so that you don't bite your tongue.
That's,
Because if you
that's
bite your
my main
tongue,
thing.
you're fucking dead. Like your
You're gonna
chances of
bleed a
you know what I mean?
lot,
Like
yeah.
so that mouthpiece is not really for your teeth. It's so that you don't like bite your tongue off.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, oh okay, like
No, that's a coaching point I repeat all the time in jiu-jitsu because we don't really have too strict of a policy on mouthpieces. Like
Yeah.
keep your teeth or keep your tongue inside your teeth
inside. Yeah.
because then if
Right.
someone head comes up underneath you and you'll bite tip of your tongue off.
Yeah.
That happens.
Rough.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, in my experience, the only combat sport with striking I did that seemed to have the most longevity was Muay Thai.
Hmm.
And I feel like it's pretty infamous for the light technical sparring.
Sure.
And so when I was doing a lot of that in Houston, that was how we would spar
Hmm.
for the most part. but when we would introduce more Dutch style,
Yeah.
you
Then,
start getting hit a little bit more.
right.
But when I was in Thailand, we did hard sparring once every 2 weeks with 18-ounce gloves on, which I had never seen those
Yep.
before, and headgear,
Right.
which I don't really know how much the headgear helps, but it was definitely the most intense training and the most growth I made
Yeah.
without
And
the
the most
headaches.
fun.
Yeah,
Like the risk to
definitely.
reward is like it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. It's like just the touch and especially if they know what you're. I mean, I've never been to Thailand. That's something that that's a bucket list for sure, like top of the bucket list. But the Muay Thai that I've done, I've done some privates with Pechtanung. He's got like 400 fights, almost I think close to 400 wins, and he's with one lefty, slick
Nice.
boxing, and he's just nasty. But just going light with him, just like it's a dance, and I'm like, man, I wish boxing did that a little bit more. Because I could feel like you might be able to do this every day.
Why is that not a thing? Is the sparring more like heavy, hard
I
sparring?
think it's because Muay Thai has all the dynamics of the different strikes
Mhm.
that there's a little bit less to the head because you're kicking you're not always throwing
It's
stuff
more
to the head.
distributed.
Right, more distributed, and it's like boxing sparring. It's just like it's head or body, and more times than not, it's your head, right? So it's like it's just repeated over and over and over again, and because the target and everything, the timing is so small,
Mhm.
is that you can't really go light unless you're really introducing sparring to someone. Because if you go light, timing really isn't there. I mean,
Yeah.
boxing is really about timing. You have small windows, and those windows will not be there if you're just kind of doing this thing. I mean, they'll be there in that kind of a rhythm,
Yeah.
but once you go and you're tight, you know what I mean, or something like that, like that's not going to be there. So then now you're not quick enough, or now
Yeah.
you don't have that timing. Sorry, now you don't have that timing. So it's I think it's a little harder to do that kind of a touch spar, especially in that pro level. Like you need that look, you need to go,
Yeah.
you know. But also the frequency of fights because Muay Thai
Yeah,
they're
for sure.
fighting for money and keep their families fed, and they're fighting every week. Sometimes you just can't take that much damage. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I would say sometimes even the fights, that's why they're just dancing a little bit, you know what I mean? And they'll turn it on, right when they need to in the fight. That's sort of the analysis that I see,
Yeah.
But like you said, like the Dutch stuff, it's like you start catching kicks like this, you're like, oh, I can only maybe just do one of those. Like
Yeah.
maybe I shouldn't Dutch block like this.
Okay, so what's the difference between like Dutch kickboxing and
Okay. So
Thai kickboxing?
there's multiple sub styles of Muay Thai, I would
Mhm.
say, a little bit depending on like region and gyms and stuff, but it's all going to be the same thing. Call it like 5 round fights. You're picking up pace throughout the fight, right? And it's like a specific
Slow start.
style, standing real tall, pumping your front leg, trying to check kicks and stuff, right? Dutch style, they don't do as much checking. They just kind of
They
stand in.
just eat.
Think of like a phone booth fight, right? You ever heard someone say like fighting in a phone booth?
Hmm.
So you're just right in front of each other. So my take on the Dutch style is more power shots, more absorbing strikes rather than like blocking or evading, and kind of a little bit of standing and trading. So in Dutch style, it's like if you get kicked in the body, you kind of eat it and then you fire one right back. And Muay Thai has that, but there's just a lot more of like evasion and slipping in and out of range, and then also like the checking.
So I imagine there's like more knockouts in Dutch style.
Yeah, but these styles, it's like it's harder to see them in like an organization, right? You'll see like specific Muay Thai rules a lot, but when we say like Dutch style kickboxing over the last 20 years, I wouldn't say that there's really like an
Really
organization where
organization
you
that
can go
does
watch
that.
it. You're
There's
just like,
kickboxing.
yeah,
Is K1 still around?
I
Probably
don't.
not.
I think
But
there
there's
is some of
kickboxing
it going
in
around.
one.
Mhm.
So like
Yeah,
you can't clinch, right? In kickboxing,
yeah,
right? And I think and then that's a big separator. Um and
yeah, and like the trips and the takedowns and foot sweeps,
yeah.
right? Like if you're doing kickboxing, you're not looking for any clinch at all, and you're not looking to take them
Mm.
down. You're just looking for punches and
Yeah,
kicks, and you're also taking out the knees and the
knees.
elbows.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you'll usually see like the more Dutch kickboxers doing like kickboxing or Dutch guys in MMA.
Mhm.
So it's also like in Muay Thai training in America, like you'll do some Muay Thai drills and then you'll do like some Dutch drills. So it's also like a training method that you'll use that's like more in that pocket and
I
like
see.
specific building reactions of like when you do get hit, being able to fire back right off
Yeah,
of it
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff.
I love to see more clinch stuff in the US. Like
Oh, dude,
like
I have like
like
a whole feeling about Muay Thai in the US
yeah.
after having gone to Thailand
Yeah,
twice.
I'm sure. I bet it's
And I got really good Muay Thai training in Houston. Shout out to Michael Corley and crew Bob Perez. When I started with them, they were at one gym and it was Main Street Boxing Gym in
okay,
Houston. So it
okay.
was actually like a dual Muay Thai and Jiu Jitsu gym. And I just felt like they trained me totally right. Went to Thailand. The methods that I did in Thailand were not contradicting
Right.
anything
Right,
in the
right.
US.
Gave a good base.
But I do feel like a lot of like you just can't do a Muay Thai training in the US for like a business, right? A US customer is going to come in for an hour,
Mhm.
maybe a couple times a week.
Mhm.
My views on how to train Muay Thai, it's like a 3 hour session twice a day.
Right,
It's like,
right.
how are you going to possibly
Right,
do
right,
the
right.
same thing? So
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I just feel like the Muay Thai in the US, yeah, they don't do enough clinch, which is a huge priority over there in
Mhm.
Thailand. And just kind of like the structure of how they do things and how they make people learn it. It seems like a lot more focus on like holding pads,
Mhm.
which like both in Houston and in Thailand, like I never held pads,
Yeah.
right? Unless if you're like a trainer,
Trainer.
trainers
Sure.
hold pads.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like
yeah.
boxing gyms, I would say are like that, right? Like you
Mhm.
don't go into boxing gyms and learn how to hold mitts too much. Like you're just learning how to do the thing.
Right,
So
exactly. Someone's holding mitts for you,
I
right?
feel like a lot of Muay Thai training in America is like teaching people how to be trainers
Yeah.
more than it is how to be like a Muay Thai athlete.
Right.
But
For that
it's a
three
tough
hour
sport.
for that 3 hour you said your structure, ideal structure would be like 3 hours twice a day. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Or like
twice a day.
2 hours twice a day, something like that.
Of that 3 hours, how much of it is like skill technique development and how much of it is just like running, skipping, something like that. You know what I mean?
Like 20 minutes of like skill development probably.
Yeah, and the rest of it is like primarily
Yeah,
cardio.
like yeah, but like there's just a completely different training method because like we would be prescribed something once we were done with like the session. That there would be like the end of the session, and then there was like some number of knees or teeps on the bag before abs.
Mm.
So like those were gonna happen no matter what, and it might be like 200 teeps, 200 knees
What gym did you go to in
in
Thailand?
Thailand. It's called Gap Tip. It's outside of Bangkok on the west side.
Hmm.
So it's like a little suburb. I went to a university in Thailand.
Okay.
So it was like where the university is.
Oh. Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
So that was
Was
really
that
cool.
like a study abroad thing through
Yeah.
Houston? You went to
Yeah.
Thailand?
So,
Dope.
dude,
That's so dope.
my math was like, I'm spending 10 grand a semester to be a student and to have housing
Yeah.
in Houston. And then I
Right.
was like, how much does it cost to do a semester in Thailand? 10 grand. So I'm like, if I'm going to spend 10 grand
Right.
on a
Is that-
semester of
yeah.
school, and at the time I was competing in Muay Thai.
Mm.
So the whole thing was like, how can I get myself to continue chasing the whole Muay Thai dream a little bit,
Yeah.
but with like still getting my credits?
Yep, yep,
So
yep.
like I took multiple classes at their university, but it wasn't enough for my degree plan. So I was also taking online classes
Okay.
at the University of Houston while I was over there.
Oh,
So
wow.
I had to like juggle things
I
just to
get
be
the
able to like
logic
get
though.
the
Yeah.
training. Yeah, and
Get the
I'm
logic.
Smart.
so glad
So
that
smart.
I did it.
Lucky. I
because-
mean, you never regret that.
yeah, and
never.
I mean, talking about like we call it getting the rub in jiu-jitsu, like when you go grapple with some people that are way better and like you
Mhm.
come back better from it.
Yeah.
One of my experiences was like getting to train with Senchai
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Thailand,
Uh-huh.
and like you talk about a guy at the top of the game,
Oh my God.
and then like he didn't know me, I didn't pay him anything, I was just at the gym working out, and he saw me, I guess, struggling, and just came over to like fix
Yeah.
my shadow boxing
right.
and
Yeah,
spent
yeah.
like 10 minutes with me just to help out. And it's like that's that energy you get in those high level gyms where it's like it's actually really approachable.
Yeah.
Those guys are really cool and they're totally willing to help you out. I think it bothers them when they see people doing things wrong. So
Yeah,
they're
it
like,
should.
let me
It's like,
let me
Yeah.
help you really
represent.
quick.
Yeah, like don't
Yeah.
leave this gym doing that. You know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
my name's on that a little
exactly,
bit, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Dude.
Well, dude, so you said that you did a lot of dancing. I want to hear more about that. And I want to hear more about like the dancing childhood acting pre-boxing.
Yeah.
Because I do think that dancing is like an amazing trait for anyone doing martial arts combat sports. It's got to help.
yeah,
Footwork's
that
so
and like
important.
gymnastics, like that little combo, you know. And I think honestly, like now going through, so before the jumping into the coaching stuff, I tried to kind of prep myself and educate myself on just the body and like, I went through the personal training stuff. I went to massage school, just started learning the body and just picking the brains of people and the trainers around me. And you kind of learn that like, man, a lot of it is patterns of movement. If you look at your body of patterns of movement, what are people used to? And it'll always revert back to those patterns, right? So if you're thinking about like squatting or something like that, and if something's going on, you're used to sitting into a hip a certain way, or you do a certain thing. You know what I mean? These are patterns that have built over years and times in your body. And sometimes it's how to alter or break that pattern and to find a new range that's more healthy for you, things like that. And how I equate dance is that the range and the movement that takes a dancer that'll take their body through is limitless, because each class, each different discipline, ballet, tap, jazz, whatever, is going to do something different to your body. And every time you learn a dance, that dance you're not learning the same TikTok dances for 15 seconds, right? You're like, it's different movement. It's whatever the teacher wants to do that day or that class. So you're used to like, you know, learning a combination or learning choreography within this hour. And one day my arm might be here and I'm like doing this with my legs and blah, blah. So now it's like you step into any sport. It's like, I need your leg here. It's like, oh, well, it's not new to me because like I'm used to my body not being used to it and then getting used to it
Yeah.
within an hour. So like any of the clients that I've had that were dancers and stuff like that, they will pick up boxing like
Yeah.
that. So easy. It's like you tell them once and they're like, "Oh, well I had to do, you know, like I'm just here this whole time." And I don't have to like re-teach it or I have to remind them, you know what I mean? But I the dancing was sort of the byproduct of the acting, which, you know, when I was same YMCA program, I owe a lot to this YMCA program.
That you started karate at?
That I started
Let's
karate
go.
at. And, you know, was always kind of a rambunctious kid and just talked a lot. And, you know, I got my schoolwork done, but I was, you know, if you look at all my report cards and stuff like that, it's like he does his work, he's great, but he's a distraction to others. Like he's, you know, he just will not stop talking. And it's funny because I look at my son now and he's like literally the same thing. And I'm like, that's so funny. So we would put on like little plays, you know, just like after school stuff, like little things like that. And um, this open call casting call for The King and I on Broadway. And if you're not familiar with The King and I, it's this story of back in the King of Siam, and there's an English school teacher that comes and you know teaches English to his princes and stuff like that. And there's like a love story and stuff. It's a whole musical and all that stuff. They were looking for Asian boys that had some personality that could maybe shape into something. You know, it was a smaller role. So, you know,
And
they
could pass for a tie.
and could pass for it, right? And at the time there wasn't a ton of Asian actors. It wasn't, you know, that was like kind of probably frowned upon in the Asian community because it was like, oh, like it's not education based. There's no money in entertainment. You know what I mean? Things like that. So you know, so the camp counselors and then the directors and stuff like that, they were like, we have this one kid I think might work, will not shut up, could probably have the energy to do 5 shows in one day, you know. So here's this kid, and got my information and stuff, threw me in one acting class, one singing lesson, and one dance lesson just to kind of like see, you know, and I think sort of like an audition prep with this like manager who would rep Asian boys and or just Asian kids. It's like this one old lady. Her name was, and I think she's passed, but R.I.P. Her name is Jaden Wong, and I remember like showing up to her house, and I was maybe a little early. She showed up, and like her teeth weren't in, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" She puts her teeth in, and like it was just like an older lady. But she kind of gave me like, "This is what you're about to go through. You're gonna walk in. You're gonna say your name. We're gonna run these lines." I think I had like
It's like
2
some
lines
Mulan matchmaker
type of thing. You know what I mean?
Pour the tea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's hilarious. Yeah. So I went to the audition. I did a thing. They like teach me how to like do this bow. Did a little dance, and I think it was at that time it was more like, oh, let's see if you could just take direction, right? And then so it was like fun for me. So I was like, cool. Didn't think about it. Went to school. Did it after school, and I think a few weeks later they're like, yeah, we want him. And my mom was like, what? Like
Your mom's like, don't say that.
it's like, what are you talking about? You know, it's like it's a Broadway show. Like people are paying good money to, you know what I mean? It's like in New York on Broadway.
Sick.
What are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, can this kid really do it? And I was like, well, let's just see. And like, I had fun. She asked, she was like, did you have fun? Do you want to try? Do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, sure. This is great. So then I just started. I mean, I just in there and like started to sing and dance and act and kind of do all that stuff. I loved it. It didn't feel like it wasn't like stage mom and like you have to do this stuff. It was just like, man, this is so much fun. I get to be on stage. I'm like messing around. There's other kids. I'm meeting those kids and stuff like that. The idea of like getting paid as like a 9-year-old was kind of cool to me. And I
Yeah.
was like, cool. Like I'm like working and I'm like a performer and stuff. And that kind of just jump started everything. So then I was like, okay, so from there I met other actors, young actors and actresses. So I got, more recommendations on, you know, um, lessons and teachers and, the coaches and stuff and like agencies and blah, blah, blah. So I kind of just dove into it and started doing like TV and like commercial and like all that other stuff. Like, and all along you're just sort of like, oh, it's sort of like camp. You know what I mean? Like when you're not working, you're working on your craft. So during that time, I would just go to dance class. I would go to singing lessons and I'd do acting lessons. And it was just like kind of fun. I was just like, never thought about it. Like, just like, this is fun. This is what I like doing. We're just going to do it. And it wasn't until like I was 12 where I had this like shift because um, I, for the most part, if you had a spunky personality and you were a kid and you just so happen to be Asian, there's not a ton of Asian people like kids doing it. I think you're gonna book a fair amount of gigs. If you can say the line and you can do it with a little pizzazz or whatever, like
With some
great. Like,
sauce, yeah.
yeah, put some sauce on it or whatever. It's like great. Like I did my first like Pizza Hut national commercial, and then I was like doing, tons of other like little things like that. Um, and for the most part, it was like open ethnicity or like Asian boy. And it was like great. It was like me and like 3 other
You're
usual
like, ha,
suspects that I would
got him.
see. And I'm like, I see you guys. And sometimes they book stuff but there was just enough to go around. So it was like, we were just working. But I get a call. I was like 12 now. And I like before that, I started going to a performing arts school. So this is where like I had really no sports because instead of your sport, it was your it was your art. So it was at that time, it was like a middle school. So I was doing singing, dancing, and acting instead of a gym, baseball, basketball season or whatever. And it just like, and this New York City is like set up for that, like the arts and all that stuff. There's tons of stuff like that, going on. But I get a call and they're like, hey, we have an audition for you. It's for The Lion King on Broadway. So I was like, okay, like I know that's like mainly tons of it was African influence. I think a lot of the performers were like South African and stuff like that. And I was like, that's weird. I'm like, I don't know why. I guess I'm just like maybe a check mark. You know what I mean? Of like, we're calling everybody kind of a thing. But I show up and there's like 20 black kids and me. And I'm just like, Mom, what am I doing here? Like, what's going on? Like, did I miss like, what's going on? So I go in and then I realize they're starting to do live cuts. And that's not usual too. It's just sometimes you just do it and then you get a call back or something like that or whatever.
What's
You don't
a live cut? It's like they're cutting you on the spot. It's
on
like
the
go
spot.
home.
It's like, oh, okay, we'll reach out to you, but you kind of know you didn't
Yeah.
get it because
Yeah.
I'm staying here and you're leaving, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the cuts are going on and I'm making these cuts. And I'm like, and every time they have you come in, do something a little different or the same again. And they're just, and I remember being a little nervous, but at the same time, not a ton of pressure because I'm just like, I'm here to have fun. Maybe, like in the back of my mind, I think my mom might have said, just go in. And if they have you, if they know about you and they have a role that's good for you, they'll know about you. Like you just
Yeah.
kind of going into the mind frame of like, you're probably not going to get this because, so I don't have to say it, right? And it's pretty like, yeah, and for lack of a better term, you know what I mean? It's pretty black and white in that sense, right? So, dude, I make it down. I think there's like 5 kids left. It's me and 4 other kids. And sometimes we go in as a group. And again, I'm not really feeling, I'm just like, just along for the ride because I'm like, I'm not getting this. Is so funny that I'm just like making it and these kids are leaving and like I'm getting some of these dirty looks of like, why is he staying? And I'm like, I don't know why I'm staying, but I'm like, you know what I mean? So we go in. I remember one kid was from Atlanta and he was doing backflips and stuff, and I couldn't do backflips. I was like, oh, there's no way. There's just no way. This one kid, I think he had sang like choir. He had a powerhouse voice. It's like, no way. I was like, there's just no way. Like, so I'm just like, this is just sort of silly to me. And I was like, let's just, and then it came down to like, I think it was like me and two others. And it was like more cuts. And that cut, I think the backflip kid left. And then the powerhouse singer left. And I was like, that's crazy. That's like me and two other kids. And now I'm like a little competitive. I'm like, this might be, I don't know. I don't know how this would work. I don't know, you're not paying me for my opinion. I'm 12. So I'm like, so I was like, if this is going to work, let's go for it. So we go over another round of cuts and then they send us home. And I didn't think about it. And I was like, whatever. Like that was kind of intense. It got intense quick. And then it was like, just because kids were leaving and stuff like that. And like 2 weeks later, my agent called me and he was like, you got young Simba.
Simba.
And I was like, so I remember I was like in my one bedroom apartment when my parents, I was like just celebrating me and my mom, like, oh my God, like how did like young Simba in The Lion King on Broadway? That's crazy. Like, and I just like for that particular project, this, job that I did or this role or whatever was really when I kind of switched from like, oh, I'm having fun to like, I think it's everything is like, it's returning to me. It's showing me that I should really put my mind to this. Um, and yeah, I did it for 6 months. They were on 6 month rotations at the time. I think I was like the sixth young Simba and the first and only Asian young Simba in that
That's
stuff.
sick.
So rep Rico, come on, Rico, let's go.
I just
I did it for us, bro.
I just think of you being held up by like a
Yeah,
Rafiki, like
right. Yeah, and that's just like it. That was one of those like, man, what a crazy, and like it all kind of blends in because like you start to feel like, what does it feel like to be, to have that pressure on? What does it feel like to perform in front of 3,000 people, or if it's a
that
packed
is
house, and it was
sick,
like, you
dude.
know what I mean, like meeting people in the backstage, giving backstage tours to like celebs and stuff that would come in. It was just like, wow, this is like I'm sort of is like for real in show business. You know what I mean? So that kind of just really started like 12 and then 12 until like 18, 19, 20 started going, really going for it. And still doing classes, stuff like that. Um, and along the lines, along the way, you just, you do these cool little gigs. And again, at that time, not a ton of young Asian boys that could dance. And I leaned into it because it was I was kind of good at it. And then did more and more and more. I was doing hip hop and stuff like that. And, I would get booked and somehow my acting was really paired well with my dancing because I was a better actor than most of these dancers. And I could dance as well as probably most of these dancers. So when you needed a commercial, needed something like that, and you needed a little bit more expression in the face or doing all that stuff, I end up booking it. So, I sent you a couple of those links, a
They're
couple of these
great.
commercials, and that I ended up doing, the dancing really helped with the commercial works, like doing like Fruit by the Foot or whatever,
Yeah,
and like doing
yeah.
that the Dance Dance Revolution
Yeah.
or whatever, like stuff like that, and just kind of went with that, and then now obviously over the years, way more Asian representation in it and stuff, and but again, I had my battles with that too, starting so young and kind of being back in that era of, just weird things of like just open ethnicity and like dealing with rejection. And they're like, I was going in for the same role as open ethnicity, which is like, they don't even know what they want. Right. It wasn't like a specific character or whatever. So they like, it was like the United Colors of Benetton sitting outside of the door. right? And you're just like every race was going, so you don't even know, and you just learn to be like, okay, well, you do your best, and
We'll
if
see.
you right, we'll see, you know. Um, and then more and more so, like you have a little bit, Asian representation in Hollywood and stuff like that. But again, sometimes it's what kind of representation, because I have gone countless uh Asian tech nerd, right? Um, or like that second best friend, always some sort of quiet Asian nerd or something like that. And then maybe the gay best friend, the twink or something like that. And I know that's controversial sometimes or whatever, but it's like that's really what the roles were. And I went on these auditions. It was like whatever, like, but after a while I'm like, okay, it's getting kind of like old, you know what I mean? And sometimes within the Asian breakdowns of these characters, they're not very specific of what kind of Asian, right? Like, and
Passes for
so
Thai.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So I've gotten some critique where it's like, he's just not, he doesn't have that
Did you say he's not Asian enough?
Asian enough, or like Asian look. And this is before, they're not going to say that now, right? And they're probably more specific now, which is like, we need a Korean American that it's like blah, blah, blah. But just
Yeah.
facial features are different. You know what I mean? So, but just dealing with that. And I'm like, I don't know how to be more Asian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, this is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Like, so there sometimes I have, I've had my troubles with the entertainment stuff as well. And then like, sometimes you get in or you don't, and you kind of stay in it. So like, it was tough sometimes having one foot in the door, one foot out, and you have this like dual career, and I've made it work because I made it work, where like I had split my time. But you guys know, you don't put 100% into something, you can't expect 100% back, right? Like,
Yeah.
so now I'm like 50-50. Like I'm making some money doing training and coaching and stuff like that. But then I'll like pour that money into the acting stuff and doing, whatever. And then it's like not returning. So you just make these, that transition from child, young adult to adult, doesn't help that I look kind of young for my age. So I was like still going for like 16 high school to like 18-year-old roles as like a 30-year-old man. You know what I mean? It's just certain things where you get to be a little bit more selective now. Um, and sadly sometimes not by choice. But because it's what they give you and what you can do. But at the same time, you're like, man, thinking about the Asian representation in Hollywood now, it's at its height. There's like tons of stuff for that. So projects will come and go. Sometimes I'll do an audition, so, or whatever. But it's definitely, I've taken a more of a step back from that stuff and just lean into my other passions. And just thinking about what my passion is. And a big thing of like, and I don't want to sound cheesy here, but it's like there's some quote that I saw, some like inspiring meme or whatever that resonated or whatever. But it's like, let go of your accomplishments. Like the best you ever did was the best you ever did. There's more. And it's like, great, like, having to grow up and figure that out for myself without reading that meme. I wish that meme was around when I was 15,
Yeah.
16. And I was like, oh, you know what I mean? Or like, you kind of navigate just like the fight game, acting and all that stuff. It's on you. It's solo. And accept the fact that sometimes that your success is in other people's hands, or almost all the time, unless you create your own project or something like that. Whereas like boxing, you learn to, this is all on you. You want to put in the work and you'll get that work out. You know what I mean? But yeah, so just taking that step back and just figuring out like what's important to me, what is important, and the people that you meet. And I just like, the fight game and all that stuff. It's not coincidence. You know what I mean? Just doing all that and having the experiences that I've had, how they can overlap sometimes, just helping. I remember it crossing over with Petey. I would run lines with him and I would do fake interviews with him. You know what I'm saying? Because he came from a rough upbringing. He was born in Grand Rapids, and he was like, fighting in the streets and stuff like that. People were dying, drugs. It was like all that stuff. And, his mom saw a not so bright future for him. So shipped him off to his uncle in Brooklyn, New York. And that's when he started boxing. So
Shout out to the uncles.
shout out to the
Teaching
uncles.
their
Shout out to the
nephews how to
uncles.
Yeah,
box.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I remember he's let's do an interview because I'm gonna as I'm winning these fights, I gotta sound
He-
good and let's practice.
He's thinking
some
about
lines.
being media trained.
Thinking about media
Yeah.
training, and in my mind, I'm like, dude, I'm in front of the camera all the time. Like, this is how
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So I fake a mic, and I was like, so Pete, what'd you think of your performance today? You know, and things like that. And he's like, well, and he would work out some things and stuff like that. And then he ended up doing a movie. Oh my God, he played Roger Mayweather. It's Fight. No, what's that movie? Oh, I can't think of it now.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can pull it up.
It's not Fight for This. It was a Fight for This, or it was the story of Pazienza, the
Bleed for this.
Bleed for This.
Let's go.
Bleed for This. Yeah. So he's doing movies and stuff. And that was he's getting into that, getting in the media and stuff like that and kind of getting into all that. So it blends a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you start to figure out the avenues where it's okay, this is how you should comport yourself in front of the camera and how you sound good. Cause there's life after it if you want to be in front of the camera doing stuff like that. And you see some of the stuff with Andre Ward right now. Huge with the his channels and stuff. It's cool that content is king, right? So there's always an avenue of that. So it's cool to kind of be able to mesh between the two, where you can do some of this stuff is great, you know what I mean? So if you can put two passions together, then you'd never work a day in your life, right? It's dope.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about when you're talking about 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's you move to LA because you start getting these bigger gigs, but then it immediately goes right back to boxing.
Yeah.
And that's just sometimes sounds like a perfect scenario where I bet you that time that you spent with Peter Quillin,
Mhm.
helping him practice on the mic,
Yeah.
probably helped a little bit to give him that confidence and to pursue those.
I would
kind
say,
of
yeah.
things.
And he's always well spoken on interviews and stuff like that. And
And you're like,
I'll take
I
that
did
credit.
that.
You know what I mean? I'll help him.
I did that.
We used to drill it and just different things. You know what I mean? I ask him different questions and stuff like that. And I just hadn't thought about that until right now. So
Well,
funny.
you'll
that
have
those
to
little
take
moments.
Me and Juice to school after this and
Dude, you guys are doing
teach
great.
us what you
This
know.
is dope, man. This is
Seriously,
great.
oh my God. I don't know if you've seen our episode 0 that we dropped of this pod.
Yeah.
No, I didn't catch 0.
So
I caught Will's, but
we were in that corner, in
Yeah.
your corner. None of this was here. We had 3 cameras set up,
okay.
just all different angles on one subject.
Yeah.
He ran basically the entire thing, right?
Uh-huh.
He had everything written
You guys
out.
were just talking back A and B?
Not even. No, it was just
yeah,
literally
you?
talking to
just
a camera.
explaining that we're going to start a podcast
Oh, okay.
video.
Yeah.
Yeah, talking about the concept, what we're doing, idea behind it, blah blah blah. It was a minute and a half.
Uh-huh.
He was running everything. I had all the cameras set up, making sure everything was good to go. And then at the end, he's like, "All right, Juice, you got to get in here. You got to see what this is like." And I'm like, "This is pre any episodes."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And even now, I am infinitely more comfortable in front of the camera than I was at that point a month ago.
Yeah.
Was it a month ago?
September
more?
11th.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, we were over there, and I sat in that chair, and I saw 3 cameras, bunch of lights, and I mean, it's in the video. I'm just like, oh,
Yeah, it's not normal, right?
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird, especially
Yeah.
if you got to talk about yourself or just you doing yourself is insane. I don't know how people do that. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to have so much prep. You know what I mean?
Well,
of just
you've been doing this since you were a kid, so for you, it's got to have
but not this
some
kind of
degree-
long format. Sure, I've talked about myself in a very short blurb or whatever, in some sort of auditions. I know what it's like to just hold eye contact, pretend it's not there, and I'm just being myself. So it's okay, I can old enough that I can be comfortable in my skin and just
Yeah.
talk about myself a little bit. You know what I mean? But just for this duration, or if I just had to talk to camera,
way different.
by myself. I
Yeah.
mean, you're talking
Yeah.
about a one-man show type of thing, and that's where
Yeah.
That's why all these stand-ups are so good at podcasting, right? Like
Yeah.
any
It's
any
amazing. Yeah.
any
Yeah.
any lull in that moment, they can just go off of like whatever they're thinking about, or you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's easy for them to just fill that time and talk about themselves. It's one of the hardest things I think in
Yeah.
show business is
I feel like the one man podcast, like you have to be a powerhouse and like
yeah.
potentially
Or a
partially
doctor.
schizophrenic.
Yeah,
or
or you
something
got to be a
like that,
doctor
or,
and you
like,
got to just run through
have
like
all this-
Huberman does those, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, let's go through the studies or something like that.
But I
that's
feel like the
gotta be,
comedian
like-
doing it through the chaos is so much more impressive
Yeah.
because they're just like going on their own
Right, right,
tangents and then like they sometimes bring it back together and you can tell like they'll have one producer in the background like let out a giggle every 15 minutes. And
Right.
it's like this person's just cooking by themselves.
cooking. Yeah, exactly. And you don't hear the feedback of the laughter, like, except for that one.
Yeah.
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 So it's like you're just
And they're just having faith that people are going to appreciate it
Right.
after the fact.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
Do you have like a kind of two-part question? Is there any childhood acting worst story or like horror story worst case scenario or your favorite project you ever worked on?
Outside of matchmaker putting her teeth back in.
Yeah. Horror story is probably like, you know, especially as a kid, if you're like doing multiple takes because you keep messing up, you get those sweats and you're just like, oh God, and everyone's just looking at you. And you're just like, that's not normal, right? And they're, you know, like, and they can't really be pissed at a kid, but you can feel the frustration. It's really humid in here. And it's just like, oh shit, you know, like I've done, and this is not even like an on-camera thing. I think I did like a voiceover for a children's school book or something like that, where you did like tongue twisters, or you did, it was like some sort of English book or something like that. And or no, I'm sorry. I had this little character on Nickelodeon called Tumeg, and I would review video games and electronic stuff. And Tumeg stood for the totally underground master of electronic gaming. I can't believe I remember that.
That's pretty
The
sick.
totally underground master of
Yeah.
electronic gaming. And electronic was a word that I was used to saying electronic. That's where the Chinese kind of came in. My parents and like people would say electronic. They didn't say electronic. And I kept saying the totally underground master of electronic gaming.
They didn't like the inflection.
And they're like, no, you have to do electronic. And I was like, oh, and like my tongue didn't know how to work. And I'm like, fuck. And I think I'm like 14, 15. And I'm like, I shouldn't have this problem. Like I've done voice and diction, but somehow that word, you just never know.
Slip through. Yeah.
And I spent, I don't know, like 40 minutes trying to get that word down. And I'm sure they're like, what is going on with this kid? I could not do it. And now forever that word, I'm just like electronic. Like I'm saying electronic. And I just will like pronunciate that. So that's probably a horror story, like that kind of a horror story. You know what I mean? Best experience would probably be that Wes Craven film. It was one of those where like, and Wes was such a dope director. It was one of the first big directors, iconic, right? Like Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, like he's done this. And he was so nice and kind to me for it being my sort of big movie, like my first big movie, and having substantial role in it and stuff. Where like he really kind of had that positive reinforcement, and I didn't know I needed it because I felt like by that time I was like confident in what I could do, but you know, the level of stunts and certain things that I had to do. Spoiler alert: I die in it, and it's like a whole thing. I'm the Asian, so I got it first.
I knew
Of
it
course,
was
right?
coming.
I got it first, and you know what I mean. But also made it in the trailer, so it was really cool to like see myself in the trailer and stuff. And he sent it to me personally and was like, "I think you'd be really happy with the trailer that we cut," you know. And after the first day, I think the first day I shot my, I think where they find me dead. So I was in crazy prosthetics. I was like glassed over. They had put the contacts and stuff like that. And they used this like creek. And I had a wetsuit, but it was still freezing. It was freezing. We shot in Connecticut. And I remember like in between takes, I would like shiver and I'd be like shivering. And then I would just like lay there
Be dead.
I
Yeah,
had
you
to
just
like
gotta get it
get
out.
my shivers
Yeah.
out. And we knocked those out. And he was like, dude, you like, and I still have this email. I gotta frame it or something like that. But his email was like, "You went above and beyond. You were, had great words to say. Didn't need to do
That's
that."
awesome.
Again, that like, wow, like that after that first day, just sending something so kind like that, like brings that momentum into the next couple weeks that I shot. But that was so cool. Like I got to like die on screen and like, you know what I mean? Be part of, you know, his sort of iconic library of great horror films, before he passed and stuff. So that's probably one that like, man, that's everything kind of worked well in that. I got to do some stunts. I was like water stunts and stuff because they find me floating in the water and like, you know, got my first death. And then it's like, and my first death was like a dope one, from the goat himself. So that's
Sick.
something that I can, I'll have for forever.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Guys, I got to take a quick break,
Let's do it.
and then
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to
we
pee
can-
too.
We are going to Las Vegas for the UFC BJJ 4 and Will's and Andrew's defense. And there's also the IBJJF Nogi World Championships that weekend. So do you know what the IBJJF is? So they're like the Brazilian Federation, right? And so like a title in their thing.
It's like that and ADCC.
Yeah, that's
Kind of
pretty
like-
much all we have for like world titles,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And like in IBJJF, the Nogi titles aren't quite the same weight as like a gi world title. It's like you're the black belt
Yeah,
in the
that's
black
right.
belt, right?
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
black belt Nogi titles are still super legit, and like you could put that on your resume, but it just doesn't get as much credit. Like ADCC is a lot harder to get into and a lot harder to win, I would say. But for like, you haven't met Grayson, but he's one of our coaches at Fight Factory, and he's a brown belt, and he just won the Nogi Pan American Championship,
Okay.
and that's like the second biggest
Is that still
title.
under IB?
Yeah. So he just won that, I guess, like last month, or I don't know, yeah, something like a month ago. And then he's up for going to the Worlds at brown belt, and he's really trying to win both of those Nogi titles at brown belt. So that way, like when he, well, I'm saying the Pan American and the World Championship. It's like if you can, there's two other tournaments that if you can get all four in a year, they call it the Grand Slam. So like
Got
he's
it.
not up for a Grand Slam, and the Grand Slam would be more of a gi thing.
Got it.
But you could do like a Nogi Grand Slam, I guess. But so
But
like,
what are the four again?
so you'd have like Euros, Europeans,
Pan Am.
and then Brazilian Nationals,
Okay.
Pan Ams, and Worlds. So if you can win all four,
four, that's
in your
the-
category, the same belt in
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
season,
Right,
like
right.
that's like the statement, right? So Grayson's trying to do that for brown belt.
What weight is he in?
I think he's featherweight. So he weighs in at like
60
100.
kilos or they go kilos,
probably,
right? I don't
probably
even-
more than that. No, definitely way more than 60 kilos. Like for him, he's going in at
66,
like
70,
154 pounds or 150
Oh, okay.
pounds, something like that.
Yeah.
So like 70-ish,
That's tight.
something like that.
Yeah.
And then a couple other people on our team, like you haven't met Janice. She's another brown belt. And like she really wants that brown belt world title.
Mm-hmm.
Problem with her, as I just checked like yesterday, she doesn't even have anyone in her division. So
she has to go
she
up. She
no,
doesn't-
she's not gonna go up. She's way too small because
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
so you
already
can't
her
even-
natural division,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the smallest one.
So
And
what then?
hopefully someone shows up. I guess.
Oh, so she'll still go. And just
She's definitely gonna go just like to support the team and
Sure,
everything
sure,
anyway.
But
But it would
Does
be
she
really
just default into the?
she might default if
Oh.
no one else signs up. So like a walkover champion, which like she's not gonna. There's no like weight to that title. And
Yeah.
she doesn't
Right.
want that. She wants to fight
Yeah.
multiple people if possible.
sure.
But that's like the challenge you run into with like having the ability to go into a division. You're and she's not even competing in her age category, but it's like adult, female, roosterweight, brown belt. There's just not that many of
There's
them
not
out
that
there in the
many.
world,
Yeah.
you know? So
Even now, which is like the most popular. I mean, it's at its height.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, it's
for
so
sure.
hard to.
one, it's just tougher as you go into those like more like I'm a middle average size guy. There's always going to be guys to fight white through black belt, right?
Right,
There's
right.
tons of guys that are
Yeah,
right around 170 pounds. So
Mhm.
there's no shortage of people for me to compete against. But basically us going to the worlds, it's like a chance for other athletes generally like lower level than Andrew and William to go get a shot at a world
Yeah.
title, you know? So I think we only have like 4 competitors from Fight Factory that are going,
Okay.
but it's going to be a super exciting weekend
Yeah.
because we're going to get
Jam
there
packed.
on like Wednesday Andrew and William compete on Thursday, and then we got
Friday,
the
Saturday, Sunday, right?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is going
Oh,
to be the
okay.
World Championship. So there's going to be something going on all weekend,
All week.
and we're going to try to bring the equipment out and
Bring
have some
all of it.
conversations with people while we're out there. So
What were you setting up? Like in a hotel, or what are you
Yeah.
gonna do? Yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
MGM, right?
Yeah.
Do they have any laws about like filming in public? Like, what if you just pulled up 2 chairs at the Bellagio fountain? Would they kick you off? You've had like a half an
Maybe-
hour conversation with someone, like just plop down 2 chairs
Honestly,
and
I would be more worried about
someone grabbing your
theft
shit. Yeah,
than-
yeah,
than
absolutely.
being interrupted
Just some
by, like,
opportunist
Yeah.
just snags
Right.
the mic and runs away.
Yeah.
That's cool. Are you gonna do some vlog stuff? Types?
Maybe.
I think
Film
we
stuff?
should try to do something. We're
I
definitely
know.
going to try to do at least some content at like the MMA gym that Cody Steele's at, that Andrew's at now
Or
with him.
the syndicate.
Syndicate
right?
MMA, yeah. So we'll definitely try to do something there.
Mm.
And like in our little world of taking cameras into gyms, it can be pretty challenging
When in December?
to get permission.
When is that?
The match is the 11th, so we'll be out there like the 10th through 14th
10th
or
or
so.
14th.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Cool.
super exciting to see if we can get 2 Tackett brothers to have belts in the UFC organization. That's, going back to we started training together 16 years
right,
ago.
right.
And I've been there for the guy in their camp, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't there for everything. I went
Sure.
to school for a few years.
Yeah,
But kind of start to finish,
Nerd.
I've gotten to see them go from like white belt to black belt to
Right.
for Andrew, UFC champion. And like like you said, you feel like you lose when they lose.
Yeah.
Right? Being
Yeah,
part of
yeah,
someone's
of course.
team. And it's like goes both ways. You feel like you did something to help them in a part of
along
this,
the way. Part of it, man.
And kind of on like the specific point where I found myself over the last couple of years is in that psychological part of being in someone's camp. There's plenty of tough training partners. You don't need me for that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But it really is filling on all those other things you were talking about, helping get through the weight cut,
Right.
being with fighters on the day of,
Mhm.
right? The day of fighter psychology, I think, is super important because going back to some people want to be slapped in the face and screamed at. Some people want to be patted on the back.
Yeah.
Some people want to share funny memes all day leading up to it and keep it light.
Mhm.
Some people want silence.
Right.
Some people want
And
to
just
like,
want you around.
yeah,
That's it.
and be able to be there and hang out and,
You got a
and
close circle
have them
and-
know that if they go in there and get their leg broken or whatever, like you're not gonna stop calling them,
Right.
Like we
Right,
talked
right,
about
right.
with,
Yeah.
with Quillin is like it's so real,
Mhm,
and you
mhm.
could be, Conor McGregor at the top of the game. His probably a little different, but when you get taken down, knocked down off of like being a champion of something, it's like pretty crazy the high to the low
Yeah.
that can come because if you're failing at something else in life, like you're just failing at the thing you're trying to do. You start a business and you fail the business, like maybe you lose some money, that sucks, it hurts your ego. But like when you lose in any of the combat sports, you got your ass kicked and your
Right.
career and like
And all that, right.
all the rest of the emotional
Yeah.
stuff. So it's like it takes a lot to be able to handle those kinds of things.
People don't do it for the money.
Yeah.
That's
So
like so.
you've been through a lot of changes the last 3 years, I'm sure. So what's it like now that you're a dad, managing your training while taking care of the family?
This is all my wife. I don't think you can do it alone.
Yeah.
I mean, I just like there would be no training. There would be no, you know what I'm saying? So, it's. I mean, I just give it up to my wife. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where the partnership. That's where having the right partner to have a baby is so key. And just someone who you can communicate with and that is looking out for you when you're not looking out for yourself, and might take a back seat. And then, knowing that I would do that for her and just sort of just, aside from that, not to get too, but I mean, my son is, it's such a wild, and I'm just learning as I go. So that's what I mean. That's really, I mean, you can feel like you're prepped and you can feel like you're ready and you do all these things to feel ready and prepped. And this kid would be like, no, I don't, that's not going to work. We got to do this way. or I have this challenge, or I'm really good at this, and blah blah, and I need this right now. And there's so many different things, and he's at an age right now where he's soaking up everything. So it's like almost like instantly overnight. So we've had this joke now because like I had my first like road rage incident in the car in Austin where it's like this fucking guy
With your
cut
son
me
in the
off
car?
and he's in the car and I'm like, this fucking guy, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, fucking guy. And I was like,
That's
I was like,
cute as
no.
shit.
I was like, you weren't repeating anything I was doing
Like
before
last
this.
week.
Last
Yeah.
week. And then me and my wife were laughing and now he associates that as a joke. So, which is fine, which is totally fine, dude. I don't care. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? This fucking guy. So when you ask him, I'm like, hey, his name's Cassius. And I'm like, Cashy, tell me about the guy. He'll go, and he starts to laugh. He goes, fucking guy.
Bro, you
That's so
have to
sick.
send me a video.
I will.
You have to send me a video. I'm gonna cut that in.
Because we've had,
That's so fucking funny.
so I was at Terra Toys, you know, on Anderson. There's like a dope toy shop. One of like I feel like the last toy shops because everything is Amazon.
by like
By the
the
gym.
camera joint and by the gym. Yeah.
Exactly. And we'll go in there and play and all that
By the
stuff.
school. Is the school over there, camera shop? No.
Is it?
I don't know.
I don't
I used to go to a camera exchange over there.
know. But he had this like I think like a fire truck or something like that, and he goes up to a random guy there who was a dad, and was like, "Here, fire truck." Being like sharing. And he's like, oh, like obviously the dad's like, no, you play with it. You know, you like this is your fire truck. He's like, he walks away and he goes, fucking guy. And he like the guy turned around and I'm like, I'm sorry. It's like, you know what I mean? Like this is not what it is. I didn't call you that. Like it was just, you know what I mean? But he's using it correctly. So I'm like, all right, whatever. You know what I mean? Like little foul mouth.
Go ahead with your context.
You know what I mean? Your dad's a New Yorker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, like it's what's really nice just to kind of bring it back to the archetype and all that stuff, just being around, it doesn't have to be dads, but just guys my age or older has their shit together, chasing after something, discipline, all that like that, you know, like the sum of the five friends type of thing, where it's like I'm
For sure.
lucky to have that, you know what I mean? Because you know, and some of them are dads. So I get to like kind of lean in and kind of get some advice there of like, hey, what are you doing with your kid or what, you know, school systems and like school districts and stuff and like figuring out the lay of the land in Austin. And that's really helped, you know what I mean? Cause again, you're just figuring it out and you're just like, okay, he's got to do this, this, and this. And where should he be, you know, in this and how do we deal with the emotional side of things, the outbursts, and what can he handle? Like, you know, you read all these books and you have a million things sent to you or like things that come up on your feed about like this is what you should do with your kid and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you just gotta, this kid is your kid, your DNA between these two and like between you and your wife or whoever. And it's like that, you have to just lean into how you're going to do it and trust that process. And, you know, again, that's why it's important to know your partner before, you know what I mean? And have a good sense of what she would be like as a mom or whatever, or you know, vice versa. So that's been, you know, I think that's part of Austin is like, I think it's going to be really great for him. We got good, strong dudes around with kids, role models for me and him, you know, good situation, schools and sports and blah blah, and having that kind of all that get jumbled up together, you know, is something that, you know, family can fly in, but something like that, the community, something that I was like, I think I didn't know what I was looking for when he was born. I just knew that I was scared, and I was like, I need to figure this something out. I need to leave LA. I need to be closer to family. You know, LA was like cool, but it was like I don't know if having a baby out in LA is something that I want. And so I was like, let's, you know, and then, you know, my family's in New York. So New York wasn't in great shape. I was trying to get my parents out of New York coming out of pandemic. They were like punching old Asian ladies on the street, like doing that game. You know what I mean? I'm like, I bought my parents bear spray and I was like, just in case. You spray this whole fucking bear spray in their face and we'll figure out
Oh my God.
figure it out later. Cause like
Bro.
Oh
there was attacks every week. It was nuts. And they were just like, so my parents didn't want to leave their house. And I was like, you got to leave your house. So like, let's go to Ohio where you can leave your house a little bit, and then that whole story kind of goes on. But
Did y'all ended up taking them to Ohio?
they lived with us for about a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now are they back in New York?
They're back in New York. Yeah.
Okay.
And they're visiting right now, actually. So they're
Nice.
retired. So they get to come, you know what I mean? So where it's like that sense of family is nice. And just us finding our roots, our spot, and just having this great situation is like, it's a blessing.
Bro, when you said they're punching old Asian ladies in New York and you said you bought them, I straight up thought you were gonna say, I bought them fight night.
That would be sick.
Yeah, that would be
I'm
sick.
like, let's go.
Let's go fight night. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man.
That's dope. How long are they in town for?
They're in here. They're here about they've been here about a week, and they'll be here for like through Thanksgiving. So about a month.
Sick. That's
So
awesome.
like, yeah, so like we're doing some date nights. Me and Lindsay are
Yeah,
doing some
take
date nights and
advantage.
stuff like that. We get some work done. My wife has her own business and starting up her own stuff, so a little bit more time to work. You know what I mean? Just like delegating time and having all that. So
Do you think dad strength is real?
I haven't seen it. Not yet. Not well, like when grappling is so new, you know what I mean? Where I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. Because I feel like a kid. I was just rolling with David Freeze, who's like, I don't know, 6'3", something like
Yeah.
that, 210 or
Yeah.
whatever. And big mistake because I tensed up. And when you tense, you're lighter, which I now found out, where I'm like squeezing and stuff like that. I'm in mount. And he just, like a little kid, like his son, just picks me up.
He said,
And I was like,
he said Simba.
so that's what, yeah, exactly. He could have said that. And I was like, this shouldn't be this easy. And I'm like, this is like dad strength. He's got dad strength, and I'm his son. And that's how that felt. So, hopefully it comes around.
So you just started training grappling.
Just started.
How are you liking it?
I have like 5 privates deep, 5 classes, pretty much.
How are you
5
liking
and
it?
5. It's great.
Yeah.
Sean Aberson, shout out Sean. Great teacher and like knows a ton of stuff and is a great teacher, and I'm just loving it. I'm doing a ton of stand up right now, not a ton on the ground, but again, that fear of like getting picked up and slammed is, I think I told him probably a bunch of times, and he was like, all right, let's do some wrestling. So
No, and
getting-
he's 100% the right guy.
Oh, yeah.
I've never met anyone in combat sports that knows as much in as many multiple different disciplines as he does.
Yeah.
His breadth of knowledge in wrestling and striking,
Yeah.
and jiu-jitsu,
Mhm.
it's like he's like grandmaster at all of them.
Yeah, I mean,
And,
without
like-
dating him too much, but like he's been around the game for a bit, so he's always got some stories, like like when he was training with Ben Askren and stuff, and he was like, when Henzo and Sean Williams, Danaher, like that whole, and when he was at Paragon, just sweeping through, just being in California, I'm sure, and just having all the access to every type of discipline. I think he went to Thailand for a bit too, him and Tyson. So it's just it's great to like pick his brain about stuff and be able to talk to him about, he is a encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to that stuff.
for
So
sure.
yeah, I'm just trying to keep up now.
That's
Nice.
how I feel. That's how I feel. Whenever I walk into Archetype, I'm like, what am I doing here?
Yeah, like you think you're going to this sort of like cute, and it's meant to be non-intimidating. That's what we want.
Yeah.
We want access to everybody and them to feel welcome.
Open
and
ethnicity.
you know what I mean? Like the classes are set up in a great the classes the classes are set up, so that anyone can come in, and it's like boxing. But then you get into the 9 a.m.s, or you talk to Sean Tyson a little bit, and then you get to do some rounds with them, and you're like, oh, it's not just boxing
Yeah.
at all, right? Like that. So
And that
cool.
was my perspective. Like I
Right.
know all of the guys that Sean was doing jiu-jitsu with 20 years ago,
Yeah.
and I've always looked up to those guys. And then I just met him as a boxing trainer,
Mhm.
boxing coach,
Mhm.
gym owner. I'm like,
Mhm.
cool, thanks for helping me with my boxing. I appreciate that.
yeah,
And then it was super quickly, I kind of learned more about him, and I was blown away of like, wow, this guy was just in like the same thing you're talking about, watching Manny Pacquiao camps.
yeah,
Right place, right time, that allowed him to be able to be this resource for us now.
Yep.
That like you can't go back and get all that knowledge
You
that he's
can't.
got.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you want to talk about OVAHaul?
Sure. It's my wife's startup, and it's something that she's super passionate about, and I'm learning as a sort of business owner with her, and just going through all that stuff. So my wife is trained, and she has her master's in reproductive science, and she's an embryologist. So she deals right now. Our company, our startup is called OVAHaul, where we do this fertility consulting with people that are just getting into IVF or having reproductive issues. And we kind of take this science-based approach through diet, nutrition, among other things, lifestyle, modifiable factors, as she calls it. And she's helping women through that process of becoming pregnant. Super rewarding, and just something that, like, aside from this, have my focus on. And this is 100% what she's doing. And she's, we've had I believe our first two overhaul babies,
Oh,
pregnancies.
cool.
Sick.
And that's like a huge milestone for us. She's in that content game, just building, and she's super passionate about it. So it doesn't feel like work. She's just talking about all the things that are coming up. And we like to think we're at the forefront of this space, and just trying to grow and just trying to build on top of that. And opportunities are coming, and just growing on that. So little something, little plug there. But she's better at talking about that than I
Cool.
am. But OVAHaul, her tag is Lindsay at OVAHaul.
Nice.
So if you have any reproductive issues or something like that, reach out to her. We respond right away.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you have
awesome.
anything that you want to plug?
No.
Cool.
I'm at Archetype Boxing Club. We have classes all day, morning, night. And I'm coaching there. I have a few classes, and schedule's going to grow. Gym's growing. Might hopefully open up a second location at some point. That's more Sean Tyson talk. So hopefully you guys will have them on here, and they'll talk a little
Definitely.
bit more about that and the growth of Archetype. And again, just super lucky and grateful that I was in here at the time that I am, and get to sort of add to it,
Yeah, we're probably going to bring up Archetype every episode for a while. It's just it's been a
It's so
great-
dope.
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
part for everyone that I've sent there and everyone that I've met there. It's been the best. And
Yeah.
kind of I was going to bring it back up earlier, but for me going back to Archetype was reconnecting with that 15-year-old, going
Yeah.
to my uncle's gym in Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
And Sean's designed the gym as like this golden era boxing gym, so it looks like you're kind of stepping back in time in some ways,
But cleaner.
and
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
cleaner.
Yeah.
So for me it's like reconnecting with where I started
Sure.
in all of combat sports and coaching and training people and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
for me the benefit is I get to go there and I'm not training, and it's the only time I get to go somewhere and you tell me what to do.
Sure.
And I get to take your
Or we just
instruction.
trade. Like that.
Yeah.
That's so dope. That community of just you don't know what kind of killer walks through that door, and all of a sudden you're learning all these different things. You know what I mean? And we're
Yeah.
just trading information and stuff like that. Where you show me some stuff, and I'm like, okay, let's jump on the pads real quick, and then help me get out of side control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting killed here.
How do I hold David Freese down better?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. How does he not dad strength me?
Y'all have got
So.
to get me up on some striking.
We got you.
Oh,
For
yeah.
real.
I'm your kick and knee guy and elbows,
Sick.
and then Jeremy's got you on the boxing.
Yeah.
We'll,
Throw some
we'll
hands,
figure
get
it
some
out.
footwork in there.
Hell
Get you
yeah.
dancing.
Fight night. Let's go.
Salsa.
Cha real smooth now.
All right, so follow us here. We are finally on all major platforms. So Game Plan the Pod here on YouTube. Check out Game Plan on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can find me on Instagram at Cole Jiu-Jitsu. I have another YouTube channel. Go check that out. That's Cole Combat Science. And Juice, what you got?
We good on skill tree. You know where I'm at.
Jeremy got you.
Jeremy got you.
Jeremy got you.
We can put all that stuff in the description down below.
Sweet.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back soon with another episode.
Thanks, guys.
Game plan.
Woo!
Fuck yeah. Good shit, boys.
Sweet.
Bro,
Bro, thank you so much.
Bro, thank you.
What
You're the
a-
fucking man.
That
That was so fun.
was so dope, man. Damn.
It's so cool having an actor